Hi everyone, this is your host Chuck Chukwujeku, and welcome to the Trending podcast. This is our very first episode, so I'm super excited to be here and get an opportunity to share my passion with everyone that's watching and listening to us. As I mentioned in my announcement video, the goal of this podcast is to provide access and promote access to all viewpoints on various trending topics in politics, education, entertainment, technology, health and well-being, fashion and travel. Why am I going with this podcast, and why did I create this podcast in the first place? 13 years ago, when I got the opportunity to move to the United States, I signed up for community college, got through community college, and went to undergrad. When I went to undergrad, I was worried about paying for my school fees, and I was going to figure that out. My parent wasn't the most richest person, and so I had to figure out a lot of how I was going to take care of my expense at college. And one of the ways to do that was to obviously take out a student loan. So I took out a student loan like everybody else. And one thing that I quickly found out taking out a student loan is that there is no restriction on how much. You can pretty much take and take and take and take. And what this creates is obviously you have money in your pocket, but the idea is you're eventually going to have to pay that money back at some point. So if you don't have a good degree, that you don't get a high-paid job degree, you are most likely not going to be able to pay your student loans, especially if you have student loans in the six figures. But one thing I quickly found out back then was that access to different viewpoints on student loans weren't available. Most of the access and most of the viewpoints that I saw were pretty much pro-student loan. Again, I took out student loan. I'm not saying don't take them out, but give everyone the necessary information so they can make a decision on whether they want to take out a student loan or not. I felt that most of the information available back then were pro-student loan. So you can understand how someone like me, at 22, 23 years old, get excited about having all this money in your pocket, not fully comprehending that down the stretch, you have to pay the money back. So fast forward several years later, out of college, paying down my student loan significantly, owning a home and having a family and that kind of stuff, I've come to realize that it's important to create an avenue where you can share information with people. You can provide different viewpoints, right? We're not picking sides. We're not saying student loan is bad, student loan is not bad. We're not saying something politics is bad, politics is not bad. We're not saying sports is bad, sport is not bad. We're just saying, hey, here are the facts. Here's our viewpoints on that. And you decide what you want to believe or what you want to go with and what you don't want to go with. And that's my goal. My goal is to create a neutral space for all trending topics so that everyone can have an opinion, everyone can have their viewpoint, and everyone can be honored for who they are and where they are. And that's the goal. That's the ultimate vision and mission here. With that said, my first episode of the Trending Now podcast is going to be on politics. Politics. I'm going to share my viewpoints on politics, specifically on why it's important that people participate in politics. As you all may know, I grew up in Nigeria. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. So I moved out here in late 2008, early 2009. Let's just say 2009 January, because it was like the first. When I moved to the state, there was a lot of, I was only 18 years old, by the way. And there was a lot of, I was confused. My identity. I was confused because I'm like, oh my God, everybody talks fast. Everybody is so nice, pretty looking, beautiful looking. Everybody's so smart. Everybody speaks great English. The food is great. The scenery is beautiful. There's some rough side to this place, and so on and so forth, and all this stuff. And I was trying to figure out where I belonged in each of those boxes that I just mentioned. It took me several years to figure that out, but eventually I did. And when I did, part of figuring it out was understanding American democracy and understanding the political landscape of America. How does America work? How does the government work? Because everything from our daily lives to our corporate life, it all revolves around the political stability of this country. That's just what it boils down to. If the politics of this country is not smooth and is not well run, your personal life and your corporate life, and when I say corporate life, that's your work life, it may not exist, right? So we got to give credit to those who create a blueprint of how politics is done in the continent of the U.S. So with that straight from my topic, why is it important to participate in politics? Why is it important to participate in politics? That's going to be the topic of the first episode. Politics, why is it important to participate in politics? So, as I mentioned, it is important, in my opinion, in my viewpoint, to participate in politics because there's so many benefits that comes with it. But before we understand why it is important to participate in politics, it is crucial to understand the meaning of politics. According to Merriam-Webster, politics is the art or science of government. That's A. B. Politics is also the art or science concerned with guiding or influencing governmental policy. Finally, Merriam-Webster defined politics as the art or science concerned with winning and holding control over a government. Keyword: control. Speaking of control over a government, nobody has wielded so much influence in the last decade in Washington, D.C., other than the one and only Senator Mitch McConnell. A great, great individual in terms of his political acumen. He has been able to dominate the American politics for decades. But more importantly, in the last decade, he has put a sprint on American politics and democracy. Speaking of control over a government, when you look at Senator Mitch McConnell, according to Senator Mitch McConnell's website, he is the longest serving Senate Republican leader in American history. In 2015 and 2019, Time magazine named McConnell one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Senator McConnell has confirmed three Supreme Court justices as the majority leader in Congress, effectively giving Republicans the supermajority in the Supreme Court. Why is Senator McConnell's story important when discussing the importance of participating in politics? It is important because it shows that you don't need a majority voice to enact big societal changes. You simply need consistent messaging, voter participation and turnout. Senator McConnell's ability to persuade his constituents, as well as Republicans in the Senate, has made him a constant voice for conservative in the last decade. According to Mitch McConnell's website, he has been unanimously elected to lead the Republican in the Senate 8 times since 2006. His presence provided consistency for Republicans, which paid off because they got 3 justices at the Supreme Court and were successfully able to roll back Roe v. Wade. You see, you need consistency to enact change. Republicans have that in Mitch McConnell. One of the things that people need to understand is it's easy to sit at home and talk about, how you don't like this, you don't like that, you disagree with this, you disagree with that. It's easy to say those things. I can say those things all day long too. What is not easy to do is following through on how you feel about a particular issue. A lot of us don't come out and vote during the midterms elections because we're like, we just don't participate in politics. We believe that, both sides are whatever, if you will, for lack of a better term, corrupt, like everybody will say online. And so your vote doesn't count anyways. Why vote? Just let it be. You're wrong. Your participation in politics is very important to the health and sustainability of American democracy. You need to participate. Because Senator McConnell was able to organize and be a consistent voice for the conservative, it has helped Republicans maintain supermajority at the Supreme Court. Those are the facts. He's been the only consistent voice in the Republican Party in the last decade. Even when President Barack Obama was president, McConnell was the voice of the Republican. And he was the voice of the Republican when President Trump was there. He's also still the voice of the Republican when President Joe Biden is there. This tells you that this man has consistency. And that's because he has a constituent that is actively participating in politics, which means they're following the issue and they're voting accordingly. He has members of Congress who are Republicans who are following him because he's able to whip the vote. And they're able to get behind his agenda. Keyword here, participation. When you have people that are willing to participate in what you're serving, it becomes easier to deliver consistency on the key issues that those individuals or group of people want. That's why Republicans were able to successfully overturn Roe v. Wade. Consistency in leadership. They have it. They have it. And that's huge. So, for you, you're asking yourself, okay, great, thanks, Chuck, but still, I still don't want to participate in politics. I'll tell you another reason why you should. You don't need a majority vote or majority people, You don't need a majority people to enact societal change. In fact, some of the most strongest changes that have came in our country has been championed by minority groups. And when I say minority, I'm not referring to blacks or Latina or Asians. What I'm saying is people who have less, whose opinion carries lesser weight than the other side, than the other people, right? But those are the people that have championed change. According to a poll, majority of Americans are for abortion, right? But guess what? Abortion is now left to the state to decide. And majority of the states deem it illegal. So you've got a minority voice winning over the majority voice. Why? Because the minority voice practice what we call consistent participation in politics. And when you do that, you may not get a result in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, but at some point, something is going to give. And that's what happened with the Republicans in Congress and at the Supreme Court. Something gave. Decades of trying to overturn Roe v. Wade, but also decades of consistent political participation. Republicans were able to successfully overturn Roe v. Wade. What I've shown you today is that your voice matters in politics, whether you want to believe it or not. And it's important that you participate, because you could decide what's going to get changed or what's going to get added in the next 10 to 20 years in this country. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, you gotta participate in politics. It's very important. It is important that more people participate in politics, again, to promote consistency for elected officials. Because when you participate, you are promoting consistency with elected officials. Look at Senator McConnell. His constituency consistently sent him back to DC. Okay? So you have to be there to make any change. You have to be there first. And that's the first step. Participate and be there. So his constituent consistently participated in politics by following the trends, following what's going on, following the different bills that are being passed, voting because it's our civic duty, okay? And in return, Senator McConnell was consistently elected to Congress. And that consistency gave Republicans hope that one day they will be able to enact a big policy change that will benefit their political leanings. And that's what happened with Roe v. Wade. If you want to seek change in anything within our government, within our society, my advice for you is to participate in politics. If you want to see a societal change in our generation, you need to start participating in politics. By participating in it, you will be able to find out about the issues that are important to you, to your household, and you'll be able to vote accordingly to enact policy changes that will benefit your political leanings and your core values. Senator McConnell's blueprint of success, everyone should be looking at that and emulating that when you play the long game and you get yourself in an arena consistently, you are going to get a result one day. It's just a matter of when. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the first episode of the TRENDIN podcast, Political Edition. Tune in for a second episode where we will be sharing more viewpoints on what's trending in the health and well-being sector. I thank you all. I appreciate you. I love you all. I want to keep this at 20 minutes, and I think I was successfully able to do that. Until later, Salute.